Alright everyone, welcome to another video. This video is just going to be me talking about some movies that I've seen in the past few months really. There's not too many, but this is just a few amount of movies that I've seen throughout the last few months, either that were released in those months or that were just not and I just happened to watch them. I'm not going to go in depth too much with each of these movies, but I'm just going to tell you what I did like and what I didn't not like, or things about that. Also, there's going to be no spoilers. I'll give you a warning if I'm going to spoil anything about these movies, just so you know. So there's not going to be any spoilers unless I say so. If I do, I'll give you either a timestamp or just something you can go to, so that you don't have to hit spoilers about this section, okay? Just some of them that I go around. So let's get started with number 1, The Holy Mountain. Okay, so I'm not a fan of this movie. I watched it, and I just didn't really like it all too well. There were a lot of things I liked. I liked each of the rulers of the planets, like each leader and what they do for the world and kind of deal. I like that. I like the artistry behind a good amount of it. I did like the ending. I did like that little twist ending a lot. I was like, ooh, that's really cool. And some other things. The actors fairly good, and the sets are nice, and the colors are great, and the cinematography's pretty good too. That being said, I found this movie mostly dull and boring, a good amount of it, because it seemed to be just these images on the screen, these shocking images on the screen for just the 2 hours of the movie, and that just really didn't do much for me. And just it seems to be trying to gross you out with horrific and shocking imagery more than actually do a good story and stuff. This is not really a bad movie, I would say, but it wasn't for me, and I just didn't really find it all that intriguing. And by the end of it, I just went shrugged my shoulders. So, if you like it, more power to you, but just for me, I didn't like it. Maybe upon a second viewing someday I might like it again. But as of now, no. It's like a 5 out of 10 for me at most. Gone Girl. Alright, so Gone Girl is a much better movie in my opinion. I found this movie very intriguing, mysterious. I found it very shocking. I found it very psycho. And I found it very and just in a way grabbing and just whoa. And just gives you that ending that's just man. And just leaves you thinking. I love movies that have me walk out and just leaves me thinking and leave my head spinning about what I saw, in that sense. Some minor complaints: it's a little too long for me. I think it went on a little long. Not too much, but just a little bit. And in some sets, maybe some scenes could have been cut out. I don't know. But yeah, that's my main gripe. I just felt it was a little too long, but I thought this movie was pretty mysterious. It was very gripping, very suspense and thrillerish, and just really wow, this is a really cool story and it's a really cool take. It's based on a novel, as I heard. So I haven't read the novel, but maybe I will one day. But yeah, I really like this movie and recommend it to anyone looking for a slightly messed up thriller, kind of psycho movie. John Wick Chapter 2. Saw the first John Wick and thought it was okay. The action scenes are great, but I just didn't find the movie overall that great. The second John Wick I liked more because I think it went a little more actiony. It went bigger in the sense, and John Wick kills a lot more people in this. And there's also a lot more color and variety to the sets. There's this, without giving anything away, there's this set that's taken place in a very big mirrorish building, and it's just really nice, and just everything about these action scenes are always fun to watch. It is better than the first one, in my opinion. I do think it is a pretty good action movie. I would give it a 7 out of 10. And I do think it's enjoyable. If you love action and you love seeing a lot of gunshots and a good amount of blood, because this is an R-rated action movie, then you'll definitely like it. I think it's pretty good. 7 out of 10 for me. Psycho. So this is my first time seeing Alfred Hitchcock's famous hit Psycho, and I have to say it is pretty dang good. And I can see why people call him the master of horror. This movie's good because it kept me on my tippy toes. It kept me on the edge of my seat. It kept me tense. It kept me uncomfortable, And the twist in this movie I didn't see coming, and it just really like freaked, and I'm like, whoa. And like the way Alfred Hitchcock did the movie never had me guessing that. I'm like, wow, okay, that's I applaud him for that. This, and it's just really good. And like the opening credits are great too, and really gets you in the mood. And like the shooting is good, and just basically the best thing about this movie is like the horror and the mystery and the suspense, basically, and just how it keeps you on the edge of your seat of like what's gonna happen, who's gonna go next, who are they gonna get, when are they gonna catch the killer, who is the killer, and like what's wrong with him. And there's like that ending explaining scene that they do was just really interesting, and just like that. And it's like it's nothing really new that I haven't heard before, but it was just like this little explaining scene and how the movie ended was just on that one shot was just really good. And yeah, I really like this movie. I give it a 9 out of 10, and it's definitely worthy of its praise. Kiki's Delivery Service. Okay, I adore this movie. I really liked it a lot. I love this gave me like the same feeling that Toy Story 2 did the first time I watched it, and like Finding Nemo and all these other Disney movies. This feel gave me that same feeling. I think this movie is excellent. I gave it a 5-star rating on my Letterboxd. 5 out of 5. I like Kiki a lot. I think she's a great character, and one that you really are pushing for and hoping that she accomplishes her task and goals. And something I'm starting to notice in these Studio Ghibli films, this is something I noticed when watching My Neighbor Totoro. Also a great movie, by the way. Is that these movies don't necessarily feel like they have too much a plot, really, or doesn't feel like constructed. This movie felt more like, okay, here's Kiki. She has to go to this place and do this, and here are the events that unfold before it, and that's it. It doesn't feel that constructed at all. It just feels like she goes to the city to do her like witch training, and that's just the movie, and it's just the events that happen all throughout. And I think it's interesting. The animation is beautiful again. Kiki's a great character. I like the idea of her, and like the goals she has to go through that make you push for her. Some of the side characters were maybe a little bit annoying, but that's could be one minor gripe. Other than that, I really have no major complaints with this movie. In a way, and I love the way this movie made me feel by the end of it, and I like the characters, and I like the animation a lot. I just like this world they put in, really, even though it's not really that interesting a world. It's just basically like the normal world, except there's witches. But this movie is definitely worthy of the Studio Ghibli title, and I think it is definitely one of Studio Ghibli's best films. I think I might like My Neighbor Totoro in Spirited Away a little more, but even still, so I still think this movie is still out of all 4 I've seen. This is at least my 3rd favorite, and it's not far behind. Like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating. So definitely check it out if you're a fan of like anime related movies or Studio Ghibli or any of that. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Inglorious Basterds. Another movie I gave a 5 out of 5 star rating. I'm just going to say, I like this movie more than Pulp Fiction out of Tarantino's films. I like this movie a lot. Like, I like this take on like World War II in this fictional time setting, and just like if World War II were to go like this. I thought the actors did a great job. Brad Pitt was pretty good, even with that accent. He was pretty good. I bought him. Christoph Waltz, I believe is the actor's name. He plays like the Nazi general. He did great too. I really liked him too. I just found the story very interesting. I liked how all these characters and their arcs, like, they come together in this one event that happens near the end. And I like the filmmaking, and I love the intensity of like the scenes when they're intense and just what happens between them. And I like how it goes from like just beginning to end. One reason why I may like this more than Pulp Fiction is I'm not a big fan of like when movies go like flashbacking and forward and flashbacking and forward and back and forth, back and forth. I'm not a big fan of that. That's like one of my main complaints with Dunkirk. But But anyhow, I still think like I said, I think I like Inglorious Basterds a little more than I do Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, don't get me wrong, I still like that movie a lot. I think it's a great movie, but I think Inglorious Basterds is a much better movie to me, in my opinion, and it's definitely one you should check out, especially if you're a fan of war films and want to see this fictional take on World War II that Tarantino does. It's excellent and just really thing. It did feel long, but that also could be because I had a long day and I just felt tired, so I'm not gonna count off for that. So anyhow, go check it out. It's really great. Good Will Hunting. This movie was overhyped for me. I didn't think it's as good as everyone says it is. Matt Damon does a good job in his role, and so does Robin Williams, and just everyone else. Ben Affleck is good. The place they set up is good, and the story's fine and whatnot. However, my problem is the story is insanely predictable. Everything that I thought was going to happen did in there, and it's just I just don't think it's just predictable. That's the main problem with it. The main problem is that everything is predictable, and it's shot nice, and it's nice. And Matt Damon does a good job, and these struggles and some of the things he goes through, like I can relate to. But that being said, I just found this movie to be predictable and formulaic. I still think it's good. It's like 6 or 7 out of 10 for me. 7 out of 10. But yeah, that's my main problem with it, and it really dragged it down for me. I just found it very predictable. But still, if you want to see a movie about a guy, what this Good Will Hunting offers, I still would recommend it, especially if you want to see a kind of a good film movie about someone going through problems and just trying to figure it out. Go ahead and check it out and give it a look. Other than that, I didn't really find if I go 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's still good, but just not as good as people were saying it to me. 7. Another David Fincher movie. Again, good, not great in my opinion. Psycho Killer's good, and Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt do a good job, and the crime scenes they come across are pretty gruesome, and the scenes are intense. This movie has a great opening, like with the credits and things. It's a great opening, and what they come across with the Psycho Killer, trying to figure out who he is, what his motivation, everything, and the climax is unbelievable. It's like a really great climax, and now I figured out what movie where the line "What's in the box" came from. I thought that was from Pulp Fiction for some reason. I don't know why, but now I know that comes from the movie 7. But yeah, that being said, it's still good. Why I don't think it's particularly awesome is that it's nothing really too new. Like, when it comes to like Psycho Killer movies or anything like that, it's nothing really I haven't seen before. The Psycho Killer himself is nothing like new. He is a bit disturbing, and he is intense and stuff. But it's nothing I haven't seen before in other pieces of film and TV. But like I said, I still think this movie is pretty good, and I love how they try to figure it out, and the crime scenes they come across are pretty gruesome and just messed up, and the climax is great. I still think it's a good movie, but I just don't think it's nothing really new, and just it's something that it's just I've seen this before in other films. There's nothing really bad with that. It's just that it's just something new. But I would still recommend, if you want a good crime thriller, I still think it's pretty decent and intense and stuff, and you'll get all that watching 7. Blazing Saddles. Okay, this movie I also gave a 5 out of 5 just because of what it is. It's simply a movie that has no other motivation really than to entertain. It is offensive as heck. To today's standards, it would be offensive as heck. Like, this movie could not be made today. If Blazing Saddles were pitched to a studio today, it would not happen. This movie is insanely funny. It is it is offensive in many ways, but that's what I like about it, especially when it comes to race. Basically, all the white people are stupid and all the black people are smart. And I even as a white guy myself, I'm fine with that. I don't care. yeah, and it just adds to the comedy. There's other great comedic stuff in it, and just the sound effects. Mel Brooks is hilarious in this as well, and just the ending, how it's just insane. It's just like nothing made sense. Like something happened in there. Like I don't want to spoil it for you because I think it's too good. I give it the 5-star out of 5-star rating for like just its guts and like how this was received. Like this has all positive reviews from like critics, but like today's standards, I don't know if this would be accepted as widely as it was. So again, it's just entertaining. It's just so hilarious. It's funny. It's so funny. The main character's funny. Gene Wilder's good. The black guy is fantastic as well. Like I said, it's motivation to me anyway. It's just to be pure entertainment and hilariousness, and I loved its funniness. There's so many great jokes. It's so hard to remember them all. Just give it a watch. I think it's only like an hour and a half, so if you got that time on hand, give it a watch. It's really funny, and it's just lighting up my day. I'm just like, yeah, that was hilarious and stuff. So that's why I gave it the 5 out of 5-star rating, just because of what it tries to do and how this movie is just so incredible in every way. It's not a perfect movie. It's not like no cinematic masterpiece in my opinion, but I do think it is absolutely amazing for what it is. And definitely, like I said, if you want to see something hilarious and you want to see something just crude, that's the better word instead of offensive. Crude humor. This is definitely the movie for you, and I would say definitely give it a watch. Deadpool. I thought the first Deadpool was good, although I don't think it's as good as everyone says it is. I found the weaknesses of the film to be the story to be not really all that great. I thought the plot was pretty simple and just not all that interesting, and it's not all that great. Deadpool himself is hilarious. They did him right. And, it is in this hilariosity. It's fourth wall breaking. It's basically everything Deadpool is supposed to be. That being said, like I said, the weakness for me was the story mostly. I think if it had a better written story and a little more intriguing characters, maybe, this could be a much better movie. But like I said, and like half the jokes don't make me laugh. Like there's a few amount of jokes that are supposed to be funny, but I just didn't find them funny. So anyhow, but like I said, I still think it's good. I mean, I have the Steelbook right here. I love my Steelbooks, and the Steelbooks covers are usually a lot better than normal covers, in my opinion, anyway. So anyhow, but like I said, I still like the movie. It's fine as it is, and like Deadpool is right, and there's everything about it, but the action's pretty good, and the acting's great with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And it's definitely crazy, and like the violence there's a lot of gore and a lot of violence, which is what Deadpool is supposed to be. But anyhow, yeah, I still like the movie. I give it like a 7 out of 10, or like a 7 out of 10, and 7 out of 10. And yeah, I still like the movie, but I just think that people overhyped it a little bit, and that I guess it's just from like the tragedy of like the X-Men's Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool that was just everyone hated because it was nothing like Deadpool is supposed to be at all. That they were just so excited that they have a movie like this. Again, still like it. Give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But yeah, there's just some things that hold it back from me liking it more. Okay, so now we're gonna go through some of the films that released this year. I wanted to get through some movies that I've seen this year that were not released this year. So now we're gonna go through movies that I've seen this year that were released this year, so let's go ahead and do that. A Quiet Place. Quiet Place is a pretty excellent, for a first-time directing from John Krasinski, it's pretty dang good. If this is his directing skill, then he definitely has a career in directing. And the great thing about this movie to me is that this movie revolves around being quiet. You have to be quiet. These aliens that will kill you if they hear you, so you have to be quiet wherever you go. That is so great to me because that means that you have to tell the story visually. You have to use your visuals, and you have to use the camera work mostly, and the quiet acting from the actors to tell your story because they can't really talk really much. There's not that much talking in this movie, which is really cool because it's nice to see a movie where there's not too much talking. There is talking here and there, and they communicate with like sign language and stuff, and there's some subtitles so that you know what they're saying. But it's really effective in that way. The shot's good, and the soundtrack is meh. Like the soundtrack is like, okay, this fits the tone, stuff. I did find it pretty intense. I was like on the edge of my seat, and it was pretty interesting the way this does. Some of the things in this movie, like I'm amazed they got away with a PG-13 rating. I was like, because it like cuts away right before something like graphical happens. But some things I'm just like, wow, they got away with that in a PG-13 film. And just the intensity of the creatures, like trying to be quiet, really sets it. And like the creatures themselves, overall, the design is fine. It's nothing really that great, but it's fine for the movie. And the characters are fine, and like this family and stuff is good. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. I would give it like a 7 out of 10 for me. But I did find the movie to be pretty dang good, and like for a first time directing, it's amazing. Like John Krasinski has a future ahead of him if he keeps up movies like this. But it's really nice, and it's just a really effective. It's not really horror movie; it's more suspense thriller, and it's just effective in its way at that. And I do think it's effective, and it's one of the most unique horror films. Thriller films, suspense films that I've seen, and I do think that I didn't think this movie was going to be good when it came out, but apparently it's got replies. I do think it's overrated a little bit, but I still think this movie's good, and definitely if you're a fan of the genre, you'll probably like it as well. Ready Player One. Okay, so Ready Player One is nothing more than just a dumb, fun movie. Is in this sense, it's nothing great, but it's just fun to see this world they do. I didn't find I didn't find the acting or like the characters that great. The characters are pretty bland, and like stuff in here just doesn't make sense. And like characters say things. There's this like one character which is like the main girl who like says this thing. It's basically this thing about accepting her, and it just doesn't work, and it just doesn't fulfill out. It's just like, no, that doesn't work, and like that's thrown in there, it's forced in there, like this little romance. The world itself is kind of cool. It's like, oh, they have this whole virtual world. It's just great. In that sense, it's just hilarious in the way. Well, hilarious. It's just really cool to see this like little gamer world and what you can do, and like all the cameos of like characters they do. Like you can see Batman, you see Harley Quinn, you can see Overwatch characters. The Iron Giant is in there. That's no secret. That's in the trailer. And this really cool fight and whatnot. The storytelling is a little too forceful. Like there's a lot of narration to exposite the plot, give exposition, and a lot of unnecessary talking and stuff. And the world kind of doesn't make sense, but I didn't go to see any of that. I went to see like a dumb, fun movie in this virtual world and just see like this world, what can you do in it, and just like this cool stuff. But like I said, it's nothing great, but I do think it's enjoyable for what it is, and I was never really bored. And I did find a lot of the ideas behind it cool and stuff. But main weakness for me is the story, and like the characters aren't all that good, and just stuff doesn't make sense really. But overall, I did think that it was a fun time for me. Black Panther. Okay, so this is the oldest film I'm reviewing this year. I don't get it. I thought this was like Marvel's most mediocre film since Thor: The Dark World. I don't get why this film is as highly praised as it is. I didn't really find this movie all that enjoyable. I found it fine, but I think this movie is severely overrated. I don't think it deserves a 97% of Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. I think it deserves more like a 60. I just didn't really find it. I found it just at Marvel's most average movie. I liked sport. I liked the last Thor Ragnarok was much more entertaining and funny than this one is. And it's not that it's a bad movie, but I just didn't find it overall that great. I found this to be one of Marvel's weakest films, in my opinion. Mostly maybe because of the story. The story itself is not that great, and like stuff in it that like like okay, they're not gonna go this route. I know they're not gonna do that because of like future movies or whatever. I found the characters not all that enjoyable. Like I don't like the Black Panther character. I liked the Black Panther character more in Civil War because he had an actual struggle there with vengeance. But this movie, he doesn't seem to struggle that much. I didn't really feel anything for any of the characters or just feel anything from the movie. I just didn't feel nothing. I just didn't like his character all that much. Didn't talk really that much human, and he just didn't feel like a normal guy too much, and it didn't feel like he struggled all that much. He does go through some harsh things, but it just didn't feel. It didn't hit the spot. And same with the other characters. The other characters are very what's the word? One-dimensional in just the way, or just they're not really that dynamic. In that way, it's not to say that there are some cool stuff and tech behind this, and there are some cool action scenes and sets and some other things, but I didn't find this movie to be overall. I found this movie to be overall just nothing. I didn't feel anything. It just felt like another Marvel. It just felt like another Marvel movie, following the formula, just like was checklisty. That's a good way to put it. Again, I don't hate the movie, but I just found this film to be just mostly bland. And just, I don't get it. I don't get why this movie is as high as it is. Maybe upon a second watching, I'll like it more. Maybe I won't. But overall, I didn't find this thing. I found this movie to be, it's better. I don't know. It's just bland. 5 out of 10 is the highest I can give it. In that way. Maybe I like it more. If you like it, I love it. I don't want to take that away from you. Go ahead, like and love it. But just personally for me, I just didn't find this Marvel movie to be as great as everyone says it is. I just found it to be mediocre. 5 out of 10. Again, I don't hate it, but Marvel needs to do better than that. And fortunately, they did with the next movie, Avengers: Infinity War. Okay, this movie is much better. This is my second favorite Marvel movie. I love this movie. It's great. This movie, without giving too much away, because there's major spoilers. When I knew Infinity War was coming pretty much after Captain America: Civil War. This was the only Marvel film I was really excited for, because from what I heard, this was a big, huge thing in the comics, with all these characters and this big bad villain that can do so much damage and can wipe out the universe and things, and just that's why I was so excited, because this was going to be something big and epic. I still was looking forward to the other Marvel films, but nothing as compared to Infinity War. So basically, I wanted 3 main things. I wanted a good villain, because that's one of Marvel's tropes, at least with their Marvel Cinematic Universe films, is that their villains are overall not that impressive, and they're just meh or below. And they're building up this villain since the first Avengers, since 2012, so they better make him interesting, they better make him intriguing, you get him and you're intrigued by him, but also threatening by him too, and you feel he's mean and stuff, but you're also intrigued, kind of like Heath Ledger's Joker, I guess. I wanted it to feel epic. That's the second thing I wanted. And just feel kind of like Lord of the Rings, with the epic battles and just the epic scale of that the Lord of the Rings did. I wanted that from Infinity War. I wanted a flowing narrative, because they have all these characters and they have all these events going on, and I just needed to feel it all flowed well. And the next thing I wanted was basically major consequences. I wanted basically either something very bad to happen or a major character to die and not come back. Safe to say that Infinity War pretty much gave me everything I wanted out of it. That's not really a spoiler to me. If you're not expecting someone to die in Infinity War, the biggest Marvel movie that's been building up for a while, then I'm not going to tell you who dies, because it's not really a spoiler to me that somebody dies. I was expecting someone to die, just as somebody, but I won't tell you who. But this movie just met my expectations all the way, and I just had a fun time in the theater. My brother and his girlfriend were next to me, and then my friend, a friend of mine, was sitting next to me. We all saw it, and we were just all intrigued. I love this movie particularly because it shocked the audience. I heard gasp, I heard cheers, I heard it was laughter, and I heard just intriguing and just everything. This movie is fantastic. This movie feels like a big epic event, and that's what I wanted. And Thanos is a great villain too. I found him very intriguing and very threatening too, and just this guy is this is the guy. This is a good villain. I I did find I did find the movie to be very flowing. I didn't find it to be like jumpy like Batman v Superman was, in that convoluted mess. This was much more flowing, and they had a way for it to work. There's a lot of things I like about, particularly specific about this movie. Like, I love the shot. You see it in the trailer when Tony's like leaving Doctor Strange's place, going outside to see what's going on because everyone's running. That's all like done in one take, and it feels like you're there walking with him. I really love that shot and that scene particularly. I love how everyone comes together and how they interact with each other. I love the fight scenes. The fight scenes are great and feel epic and big. I love the consequences in this. Without giving too much away, there were when it came to consequences, it has more consequences than I expected. And I was just shocked, and then when I was going out of the theater, my head was spinning, and just like, oh, I can't, wow, this movie did beyond what I was expecting when it came to consequences or characters sacrificing or stuff like that. But yeah, I personally found this to be one of Marvel's best films. This is my second favorite Marvel film. My favorite Marvel films, top 5 in this order, I gotta change it on Letterboxd, is Winter Soldier, the first Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, of Infinity War, and then Civil War. But yeah, like I said, the hype is real, and like Infinity War did everything I wanted it to. And this was one of the big movies I was very hyped for, and it met my expectations. I just really liked it. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in Avengers 4, because it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. So we got to see what's going to happen in Avengers 4, and that gets everyone hyped up more. But anyhow, Infinity War is an excellent Marvel film, one of their best in my opinion. And if you're a fan of the Marvel films and haven't seen this yet, you need to see it. Go check it out. It's definitely worth it. Deadpool 2. I like Deadpool 2 a lot more than Deadpool 1. I wouldn't say 2 a lot, but I would say a significant amount more than Deadpool 1. I know that's not really that popular. Most people I hear, they're like, I liked it, but I didn't think it's as good as the first one. I found the second one to be better. I found it to be more entertaining. I found it to be, the jokes hit me more, and I love how it makes fun of like just pop culture trends, especially like the DC movies. Because, the DC movies have a reputation for not being that good. Man of Steel was meh. Batman v Superman was absolutely a convoluted mess and just bad in itself. Wonder Woman to me was above average, but nothing really that great. And then we have Justice League, which was meh. It's another comic book movie, but yeah, DC's not doing that well. And I love how it makes fun of that, and it makes fun of other things too. One thing I really loved was the fact that this made fun of like the political left. Makes fun of like everything, and I really like that, and I just found that just to be refreshing. It's like, wow, I never expected a big movie like this to do that. It's just amazing to me. And like I said, I found the action great too, and very entertaining, well done. I think I like this movie more because, one, it's more funny to me. 2, there's more characters for Deadpool to interact with, like Cable and Domino. I found them to be also very good, too. They were entertaining and stuff, especially Cable. I liked him a lot in this movie. Josh Brolin did a good job. And I just found the action to be good, and I just found the jokes to be more funny. Also, in my opinion, this has, I don't know about best, but I would say I would argue maybe the best post-credit scene I saw. It was hilarious. In my opinion, it's one of the best parts of the movie. Because it just makes fun of past movies. It makes fun of X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it makes fun of something else that I don't want to spoil because I just think it's too good. So stay for the post-credit scene. There's nothing at the very, very end, but there's a mid-credit scene. So after that you can go. But yeah, stay for the mid-credit scene. It's hilarious. But like I said, I did find this Deadpool. I did find Deadpool 2 to be significantly more entertaining than Deadpool 1, and I just found it more funny, and I just had an absolute blast. I went with my brother and my friend Connor, and it was just hilarious. It was just absolute fun. I was laughing pretty much the whole time. I was never bored, and there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. If there's any weaknesses, I would say that is also the story again. Like, the story is nothing really that great. but the movie makes up for that with the humor and all the great stuff about it. That's probably why the story is not really anything that impressive, is because they're more focused on the joke making and stuff in that. So with the third Deadpool, they can't really like do this again. I don't want them to repeat it. I want them to actually make maybe a cool, better story with the same level of humor, maybe even go a little crazier. But overall, I did I did like this move. I did like Deadpool 2 more than Deadpool 1, and I would recommend it definitely if you are a fan of the first one. I don't know if you're gonna say you're gonna like it more, because most people I've encountered say they like the first one more. But I would say you'll definitely like it. If you're a fan of the first movie, you'll definitely like this one. Whether you like this one more or not, I don't fully know. But like I said, I did find it entertaining and enjoyable for what it is. It's just a funny, hilarious, over-the-top Deadpool movie, and it did everything it needed to. And I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to getting my Blu-ray copy of it eventually. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I don't know what movie I'm going to be reviewing next, but you'll find out soon, eventually enough. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what you think of my opinions. We can have a discussion. Also, hit the subscribe button if you want to see any more videos in the near future. And if you want to be alerted of everything I do, then I guess hit the bell. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Hope you all have a good day. Take care.